So the other day I asked Google and ChatGPT about something simple, just how to fix the filter on my refrigerator because the red light was blinking. And neither of them had access to the knowledge base on the manufacturer website. But then I go over to the manufacturer website and I get this FAQ. I'm typing in things in the chat bot, and neither of them help me out either. So I go to the drawer of doom next to my refrigerator where I keep all of the manuals from all the appliances in the house that I'm never going to read. And at the end of the day, I just want an answer. I just want to change the filter. So tell me, how can this have been better?
For starters, I'd like to say that the drawer of doom is going to be my go-to phrase from now on for that kind of thing. uh, but the reality is that's a really common problem because you have all of these PDFs or all of these documents that have
Yep.
all of this really great knowledge on it, but there's no real effective way to retrieve that information in a way that suits you.
Yeah.
So one of the more exciting trends in artificial intelligence, natural language processing, and large language models over the last really 6 months, year, maybe even a little bit beyond that, is exactly about that problem that you're getting at. It is called retrieval augmented generation, the acronym being RAG, where the idea is basically that on this baseline of a very well developed large language model that can generate answers in a way that you and I might be able to understand, a lot of the time they're going to sound like 90% of the way there for whatever vacation recommendation or refrigerator problem that you might have. But there's just something that's not quite right, not as specific as it needs to be, not as nuanced as the occasion requires, much like
Yeah.
your refrigerator filter. So that's where a retrieval augmented generation, retrieval augmented generation model can come in, where basically you can take all of that PDF product documentation, upload it to this platform, typically called like a vector store, and then basically all these words, all of these phrases, all of these different chunks of that text then get values assigned to them based in terms of similarity. So refrigerator might come with an appliance. It probably won't come with a rhinoceros, right? And so when you're able then to ask questions of your, like, to a retrieval augmented generation model, the word based on the words that you're using, the context that you're using semantically, you're going to get a much more targeted and nuanced response based on a chunk of text that platform found. And then it goes through like the filter of an LLM and just turn into something that you're actually going to figure out. Like somebody, a layperson like you or me might understand.
Yeah.
It's exciting stuff. And so that refrigerator is you'll actually be able to get like relevant information. And perhaps it might be text-based to start, but one of the more really exciting things out there is it can be multimodal. So you can get images at the same time, according to how relevant it might be for your problem.
Makes sense. David, how about from your end? Hopefully you've encountered this as well with your refrigerator filter.
I think that Sam really hit it pretty precisely there, where a RAG model is this layer that allows you to leverage the strength of LLM models today without some of the pitfalls, right? An LLM model, we've all used ChatGPT. It'll say all sorts of things, and it's combing the entire knowledge of the internet, maybe not the entire, but more than we could ever. And that's how it's able to have these very nuanced generative responses. Now, what the RAG does is it just uses your knowledge base data. And rather, the LLM is the brain that's able to process a lot of what you formatted in that data through the RAG, through this vector store, like Sam said, and creating an embedding model where it's a similarity index where you're matching what makes sense. And then from that perspective, you can actually get real answers that answer your question. And you avoid some of the pitfalls, like I said, like hallucinations. If you have a RAG model, it's able to you're able to stop responses that would be considered a hallucination. ChatGPT can make some things up, or it can pull knowledge from places that and put it together to come up with an answer that may make sense, but it's because it pulled it from disparate sources. You're harnessing your true source of truth at a knowledge base. So if you were then to ask this question to, uh, uh, say, your refrigerator provider, and they had this type of RAG model, you would actually get something that was real. And if it did not know the answer, it would then say to you it doesn't know the answer and probably connect you to a human who could help you out. In addition, what's so cool about these RAG models is how you prompt them. So the questions that you ask and the answers that you get back become a lot more refined. So at SightCall, the benefit that we have is that we have integrated the use of cameras on your mobile device. What that enables you to do actually is, instead of just asking a question with natural language, right? How we would ChatGPT, where we say we just type something in, or maybe you ask Siri a question just by speaking, you can actually use image data. So you could scan a barcode of your exact refrigerator, right? And that little piece of information refines your query, your prompt, your question. They all mean the same thing, to enable the AI to really hone in on a place in that knowledge base to extract information to help you solve a problem. And might not even just extract from the knowledge base. From that, it's also going to know the warranty status of your machine. It might even know more about you because you bought it through their through their system. So they have it mapped, that asset mapped to its owner, and it can pull all this information to try and give you a better response that's personalized, right? There's not a lot of AI out there that can leverage that kind of visual multimodal component in prompting. And then when you respond, you actually get all this metadata as well from the response, and you can actually start to see where they pulled that information from, which is really cool with the RAG. So you have this very transparent, truthful response where it'll generate a response, natural language to help you through and communicate clearly, but it'll also show you where exactly in the knowledge base it found that information. And that's the kind of transparency that's needed today with artificial intelligence. And it's a pretty exciting time because, as Sam said, the next step too is providing image data or videos that are linked within this knowledge documentation. As long as you have that tagged appropriately, maybe there's a how-to video and it says, I know exactly how to fix this how-to video I'm going to send to you.
And not only that, it can be like a snippet from within that video, from where it says, all right, this is the part where somebody removes this one bolt from the filter. Let's go right to that section and source it for you. So
just cut right to it, just right to the filter. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And with these LLMs, the large language models, they're really expensive. So how can some of these organizations, service organizations, refrigerator manufacturers, appliance manufacturers get those benefits of the AI that you're referring to at a price point that's reasonable, and then turning their knowledge base, the video snippets, the manuals, all of those things into something that's a lot more usable for the customer?
I think the reality is that it is a lot less daunting than it might first appear, right? Like if you're considering constructing your own LLM, which is almost certainly cost prohibitive, like you could only like Amazon can do that, or a Microsoft can do that, sure. But if you figure out you can really target that according to your use case, according to your vertical, and by using a firm that's already specializing in and developing this sort of stuff. So when we say that, we mean like SightCall, for example, has worked with some pretty large partners in the consumer goods enterprise industry to help them upload knowledge bases, which can be done in a matter of minutes, quickly, easily. It can be done by an internal SightCall team or by champions and users at these companies themselves. And it's in a matter of minutes that you get something ready for value and for use. So when you think about it, like going through this process of developing your own LLM, subscribing to a really high level of like, I don't know, ChatGPT, which is still going to be prone to those hallucinations and those issues that David referenced, it's not that much of a choice, I would say. You can get that for well within the realities of the enterprise space these days by going with a firm like SightCall.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, retraining the foundational model is
good luck.
That's not a undertaking for the enterprise today. And the RAG, I mean, it's siloing off. It's like you're creating a mini brain off of the brain that is the LLM and the foundational model, and it's secure, right? You build this, you harness the power of that, and you apply it to, as Sam said, a very specific use case, very specific data set and knowledge, so that you can ensure helpful responses, right? And with these large models, you just run a lot of risks today. So the RAG process is without doubt a new, I mean, it's not that new, but it's the way to just enhance the way your self-service for customers today. And it's
and let's think about what that means, right, David? Like if you're enhancing that self-service option, all of a sudden you're saving your agents' hours, their time, their energy.
Mm-hmm.
You're helping, as we've discussed in previous conversations, we're helping shift left that burden of problem resolution, reducing site visits potentially for that refrigerator where that filter still just isn't really working right. You're really empowering people in a self-service way to handle these problems and create a completely new set of value and avoid a very predictable level of cost.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And in many ways, you're collecting pre-call information that is going to be useful the second that you talk to a human. So all that multimodal prompting that you gave to the AI, it's not siloed to the AI. This is pre-call, pre-human engagement information collection that can be, in fact, leveraged as a way to solve a problem faster and be more helpful as an agent, as a human agent, when problems become that much more complex. Because, like I said, the AI could say, I don't know how to solve it. Let me connect you to an agent. It's going to pass off that information to the agent, right?
Yeah.
So you're not going to spend another 5 minutes just rehashing the same points and finding yourself getting slightly more and more frustrated with every passing second. Yeah.
Exactly. You're going from the FAQs to the chatbot to your drawer of doom with all your manuals to all of these different places. And then on top of that, calling in and having to re-explain everything that you've already hashed through. At the end of the day, you should just be able to change the filter, right? So I think this is hugely helpful. Sam, David, thanks for joining today in this conversation about my refrigerator filter. And yeah, have a good rest of your day. We'll see you next time.
I'm taking drawer of doom for myself, for my own phrases and purposes. Thank you so much, Carmela. Thank you, David.